Good afternoon, villagers.
Hello.
I'm Arnie.
I'm Doug.
This is Pepper Tree Villa's daily dose of Disney. I hope you're all having a good day. It's been interesting out there on the internet with YouTube. There's a lot been happening already today. Oh my goodness.
We're very red. I'm gonna see if I can fix
Yeah,
this.
let's see if that'll work. oh wow. Did that help? No, not really. He's trying to get a white balance.
Sometimes you just need to blow it out.
Hey, let's see. We've got Mike Wheeler, Samantha Lowe, Pearl Nini. Hello there. Tim Pruitt, Cherie, Surfer Girl 6, Alyssa. I see Tim Downscale and Judy. Thank you for being here. It is very kind of you all to spend a little part of your afternoon, early evening with us tonight.
Really great travelers.
Blaine,
Everybody's
good to have you.
Thank
Jonathan
you.
Chong. Hey, Jumbo Nick. How you doing? Timothy Rainwaters, great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, the Mickey Bunch.
Kelly, the Mickey Bunch. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. We're going to have a fun time today. Going to talk about a couple of older items here. One of them a little bit at length because it's one of those things that I wished I could have done but never did because it just went away from Disneyland before I had an opportunity to do that.
Oh, Donna
Jaworski. Hello, Russ Stapleton.
Almost
Mars here as well. Thank you so much for everyone for joining. It is June 10th, 198 days until Christmas.
I know. I feel like it's so far away, but when you put it into perspective, it's only 198 days. It doesn't feel like that.
It's so true. It's so true. And then, of course, we've got some national food holiday things here. It's National Iced Tea Day.
I just saw that this morning. I like iced tea.
It's also National Egg Roll Day. Now, I don't make egg rolls, but I sure do like them.
Yeah, it's something you buy. You don't make.
Yeah.
It's just for what little you eat, it's worth just buying.
Definitely. It's a lot easier to do it that way. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with some history. Let's take the Wayback Machine. This is going to go back to 1910 today. It's a long time back. And there's a gentleman by the name of Bill Evans that was born on this date in Santa Monica. Now, you probably have never heard of this guy, but you have definitely seen his work. Mm-hmm. He was known as the landscaper to the stars back in the 1930s, 1940s. Walt Disney liked him so much, he hired him to do his backyard when Walt moved to Holmby Hills. Of course, this is where Walt had the whole layout for the Lily Bell, his Carolwood Pacific train.
His own train, and they moved up. And that was the last house he had up in, I think it was Beverly Hills.
Holmby Hills?
Oh, no, Bel Air.
Bel Air?
Bel Air is different than Beverly Hills. It's in that general vicinity. It was kind of on a hillish, kind of thing. And then he landscaped. He had his train around. There's zillions of pictures of him in his train. So he hired this guy and loved it so much. So when he was doing Disneyland, said, hey, plants.
Yeah, so Walt hired him. And he took 80 acres and turned Disneyland into a lush theme park. To do that, he had to strip every single nursery between Santa Barbara and San Diego. They took all the plants. For a while there was a shortage of plants in Southern California because they were all purchased for Disneyland in its initial stage when they were decorating.
That's a good story.
Great story. Great happen. So when Disneyland opened in 1955, he actually stayed on. Walt hired him on. He stayed as a landscape planner and consultant, as well as a maintenance supervisor. He also later did work at Tokyo Disneyland and Disneyland Paris and Epcot. And I kind of wish Dougie was here in the chat, but he even did Dougie's Polynesian Resort.
That's cool. This guy is well known. Thanks for landscaping is not just plopping some plants in the ground and hopefully it's going to grow.
Yeah.
You have to know for size and you have to know the future of what that plant's going to do because, you learn that.
That was horticulturist Bill Evans, born this day in 1910.
That's cool.
Let's go to 1929 briefly, just to mention Skeleton Dance. Everyone, we've talked about the Skeleton Dance before, but on this day, it was finally shown at Carthay Circle Theater. Now, not the Carthay Circle that's now California Adventure. No. That's just a model of it, and it's also a model of it at the studios in Florida.
There's a
Carthay Circle likeness of it. Season's greetings, Jim.
Hello, Jim.
It is good to see you here. But Carthay Circle, they finally showed the Silly Symphony, the Skeleton Dance. That was the first Silly Symphony cartoon, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That was the collection of cartoons that Walt Disney Productions used to break ground and practice and try out new techniques and new technology. It was amazing.
Disneyland, breaking news, Disneyland proposed a reopening date of July 9th.
Oh, ho, ho. Noah.
We'll have to look into that.
We will definitely look into that. Thank you so much for that, because I did not see anything prior to going
the
on.
Past hour, we were kind of getting things tidied up.
Yeah,
again, everything changes by the hour.
Yeah, I didn't do any last minute notifications or research. I was on the stream with Mouse Talk talking about Carousel of Progress today. So that was a lot of fun. Okay. So I saw some people there that are here in the chat. They were there with me as well. We were having fun talking about Carousel of Progress. So that was 1929. 1953. This is an interesting one. Have you ever heard of a guy named Chuck Jones? You've heard of Chuck Jones, haven't you?
Oh, we all have, yes.
He's the one that was a famous director for Warner Brothers. Well, for back in the early 50s, actually, he wasn't working for Warner Brothers anymore. They had closed down the animation studio for a bit. And Chuck Jones was looking for a job. He actually approached the Disney company. He went to Walt's office and he was asking for a job. Well, one of the producers there, his name is Harry Title, actually kept a journal of his time while he worked at the studio. And this 4-month period where Chuck Jones actually worked at the studio, he made journal entries about it. And it didn't go well for Chuck. They in the interview, they asked Chuck, if you could have a job here at the studio, what job do you want? And the only job he wanted was the one that Walt had. He wanted to be the one in charge.
No.
So obviously that wasn't going to happen. He wanted more money than he was making at Warner Brothers. That didn't happen either. So for 4 months, he kind of floundered around. He was assigned to Sleeping Beauty. But the thing is, at this time, the Disney studios were also paring down the shorts they were making. No more Goofy, Donald, or Mickey Mouse cartoons. And that was actually Chuck Jones's strong suit. He was very good at shorts. Obviously, he did things with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. So, that was what he was doing. That was all his big stuff. And at this point, they said, it just isn't working out. So he worked there from July 13th until November 13th for 4 months. But it was on this day that Harry Title was called into Walt's office and they could discuss what they thought of Chuck Jones. And that started the whole thing. Kind of an interesting story. That took a lot of, I didn't know too much about that. Really cool. It was very cool.
Oh, everybody was moving and shaking by that time because animation was in its massive heyday.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, later in life, Chuck Jones said that we have the entire animation world can look back and say it was because of Disney. It was them. They're the ones that set the bar so high to push technology, to push the art of the process of making a cartoon.
The medium animation came to be a fine art because of Disney, and that's why you have Hanna-Barbera, Looney Tunes. They all strive because it was Disney set this thing, and it's an amazing story. It was not just haphazard. Animation is now a fine art.
Yeah. So I see Candy Mom is here. Cynthia,
hello.
Good to see you here. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, let's go to 1960. This one is kind of one of those things that I really wish I could have experienced, and I don't know that I did. I'd have to talk to my mom to see if maybe I did
as well,
but I don't know. There's an attraction that opened at Disneyland in 1955. And that was the Mule Pack, the Pack Mules. But on this day, they changed the name from. It started with Pack Mules, and they changed it to the Rainbow Ridge Pack Mules, and then on this day, it had reopened as the Pack Mules Through Nature's Wonderland.
It's a huge area. Huge area.
Yeah.
It encompassed part of what Star Wars Land, a little bit of the river, all of Thunder Mountain, I mean, the whole area was just nothing. That it was just ginormous.
Hey, Anthony. Yeah, it was a huge area. They had all sorts of things about nature. This was really focusing on the frontier, as well as some of the stuff that they did with the true life adventures that they had. So you saw different various animal scenes and things through Nature's Wonderland. It was very cool. But the pack mules, I don't think I got to experience it, but they changed the name on this day to the Pack Mules Through Nature's Wonderland. And it was that from 1916 to 1973. The town of Rainbow Ridge actually is still there at Disneyland. The same buildings in the same spot that they originally were, that those buildings were. They're all part of Thunder Mountain now.
There's that whole area.
The train at Disneyland goes into the town of Rainbow Ridge. So if you ever go to Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland, it's Rainbow Ridge. That's the town. The reason why it changed was the mule pack was very expensive. Pack mules, they ran one horse leader and then 9 mules. They had between 50 and 75 mules at the time. That's a lot of animals to maintain, a lot of stuff to do. So it was very difficult to manage that many animals.
It was a living being. It was something that was alive.
Animals,
it wasn't just
not vehicles. So they needed time to do what they wanted. So in the middle of the trail, sometimes the mule would just kind of stop and kind of like turn around, go the other way, or maybe stop and eat something along the way. You know, it's kind of like going on Kilimanjaro Safari and your vehicle gets stopped by a giraffe because the giraffe is in the road and you can't move. It's just the way it is.
That's a good way of putting that. The Kilimanjaro Safari is, in essence, a hybrid of what this.
It kind of is.
What they did take it. It's highly modified and it's completely different, but in essence, it's exactly the same thing.
Each of the mules had very short working hours because there's only so much they do. They had very little interest in walking the trails when it was their shift. So they always had trouble with them. And at the time, it was actually an e-ticket attraction. When they started, they assigned it the E after the submarines. At some point after the submarines, they assigned this an e-ticket designation. A lot of people didn't understand why was that. Well, it was an expensive attraction. Those animals cost a lot of money. Then there was the whole thing about okay.
Yeah, this is a sensitive topic. He's going there and I'm like...
This is a sensitive topic.
But they had to consider it because it's a living, breathing thing.
Because the mules were stubborn, they would only allow certain people to ride on them. So obviously children were not a problem. But when you got an adult who was a little heavier than the mule would allow, the mule would not go anywhere. So they actually had a scale at the front of the line's attraction. When you were in queue, you got on a scale if they thought this person might weigh too much. So you'd have to get on the scale. And sometimes the mules just wouldn't go. And that's because the mules would say, oh, that's it. I'm not going. I'm not handling this.
But also the cast member had to determine and discriminate. So they're like, you go in and you're saying, hey, you are past this weight, and the people would get really, really, really upset. So it would never fly today, ever in a million years, because of what we want to do. But there's great stories about the whole thing about not everybody can go on it. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah, it was very, very tough. The Orlando guy says 3 words, chocolate pound cake. I promise that video is actually being edited. I'm still writing the script for it as well. I'm going to get that up as soon as possible.
He did start it. I gave him the recipe.
So the recipe's there. Everything was filmed, recorded. We're working on a video for a chocolate pound cake. It's coming. Trust me.
Yeah.
So 2 words, darn you. Yes.
We're having too many squirrel moments. It's like real world stuff. And then
squirrel.
You know, YouTube is important, but it's... So yeah, that's the pack mules. It's kind of...
So the pack mules at
it went
Disneyland.
from opening day, and then it stopped in 1973.
Yeah, about October of 1973, the attraction closed.
God, it's almost 20 years.
Yeah, that particular one was almost 20 years.
Yeah, 17. Wow.
So that's a long time to have live animals like that.
Yeah,
Let's move forward to 1984. This is the day when actually Disney negotiated an agreement they were having a problem with a possible takeover, and the financial woes of the Disney company at that time were very, very dire, actually. So Stanley Gold and Frank Wells actually met with Ron Miller and Ray Watson to propose that the family would collaborate on a leveraged buyout of their own company, of the Walt Disney Productions. Ray Watson didn't go for it, but Disney also negotiated an agreement on this day to pay Saul Steinberg, who was a major stock investor for Disney. He wanted actually to gain even more control and then pick apart the company and just distribute it and sell off all the assets.
Classic Wall Street or stock raider.
Yeah.
You know, Pirates and Raiders. He was a classic for wanting to go in and take over companies and dismantle them.
So they agreed to pay with something that's called greenmail instead of blackmail. They paid him off. And they said, go away.
Oh, thank you, Cynthia.
Cynthia, so much. Thank you. I love my PTV for that $1.99.
Should we give downscale that?
So
Candy, yeah. It is, yeah, Sal was not a good person.
Yeah, but I love my
thank
Candy
you,
Mom Cynthia, thank you so much for that
thank you.
super chat of $1.99. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So Saul Steinberg was paid off to the tune of $325 million for his shares of stock. So they paid him off to just go away. They also agreed to give him another $28 million for his expenses, which is unfortunate that they went into that. Very sad that they had to pay
freak out over $5. You know,
I know, it's true.
$5 is a lot in our book.
Oh my goodness.
Our phones are exploding, by the way, so we're not distracted. We want to give you guys attention, but things are being and things are happening, and it's this whole Disneyland thing. So
the Disneyland thing, people are trying to contact us saying Disneyland's going to open.
Yeah,
So yeah, we're hearing Disneyland July 17th, which happens to be Disneyland's birthday.
65 years to the day. So we'll see.
Yeah. So that is breaking news.
Yeah, it's breaking news. Well,
thanks, Caitlin. Thank you.
It's I didn't think it was going to take Disneyland that long. I think they would want it, but the world is changing so drastically, so we'll wait and see.
But they definitely want to make it July 17th, so it's there for the 65th birthday. So,
I don't know if we're going to be there. I really don't think it's going to happen.
So, on this day here?
Oh, it's a very good movie, but it did not turn out to be. In 1995, after the hangover of the incredible Lion King, Disney's next blockbuster was Pocahontas. And Disney did a massive movie premiere in Central Park in New York City. They put like this huge temporary screen, and they did a worldwide movie premiere. It took up a huge section. It was like 4 stories high. It was ginormous.
It's like 70,000 some odd people.
Yeah, and they had to do all these permits, and there's actually a really cool story about it. But they had their premiere of Pocahontas in Central Park. I don't know what the significance of the Native American in, Central Park, but they wanted an outdoor event. And it was Disney's first animated film based on a historical fact.
Yeah.
They used their creative license to it, obviously, because you can only take stories for what it is. But yeah, Pocahontas. I actually like the movie.
Doug liked it. I'm not really a fan of it. I will say this. When they did the stage show at Disneyland, they took the one thing from the film that I remember so much.
Mike.
I'll take a slice of cake, please. Mike Wheeler for $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate that. We will definitely.
This pound cake could travel, though.
Yeah.
It's just we have to make sure. It's really hard to ship anything overnight anymore because our world is changing. Because someone wanted something, or I wanted to buy something, and it had to be overnight, and they wouldn't allow it. Because a lot of places don't ship anymore. So overnight.
So Richard says that Pocahontas is awful. The one thing that I remember,
it's not horrible.
The leaves constantly blowing throughout the whole movie. They've got leaves, colorful leaves. And I remember that also on the stage show they did at Disneyland. They would blow leaves all the time. You know, at the end of the show, instead of confetti, they blew leaves on the audience. So
It's not.
I do remember that.
It's not super classic or super amazing. I was entertained by that, but I mean, it wasn't. And then the numbers did not turn out to be Lion King numbers.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it wasn't a bomb for Disney. But they thought, oh gosh, you know, they were doing one up above, you know, from Beauty and the Beast.
It was interesting. When they were making that film, a lot of animators opted to work on Pocahontas rather than The Lion King because they thought The Lion King was just a filler cartoon in between Aladdin and Pocahontas. They said, you know what, this isn't going to do anything. Pocahontas is where it's at.
Yeah, well, they thought Pocahontas was the next Beauty and the Beast. It was going to be the next Bee's Knees or Cat's Pajamas. And it made money. But it did not turn out to the cult movie of Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. It did not. And it wasn't the downturn. It just, you know, they plateaued and tapered off. And that was Hunchback was after that. Hercules was after that. Mulan, they were very, very good, but they were not they didn't make a lot of money. They didn't get the hype as the big four.
Yeah. So let's go ahead 5 years forward. To mark the return of the Indiana Jones Spectacular at Hollywood Studios. At the time, it was Disney MGM Studios. It had taken a 6-month hiatus. They did a remodel of it, refurbed the attraction itself. They invited 500 Floridians whose last name was Jones to be there for the premiere, for the grand reopening. So it went from the Indiana Jones Spectacular to having 500 people named Jones in the audience. So, yeah. 2007, the Broadway cast of Mary Poppins performed at the Tony Awards. They did the song Step in Time, which isn't that the number where you see Bert climb up the side of the wall and then along the top of the proscenium and then down the other side? Amazing effect, beautifully done. I loved that part.
I like that. It was a great musical. Wow, everybody's here so chatty. Sorry, I can't.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. See, PTV, when you're talking about the Pack Mule ride originally for Thunder Mountain at both parks, they were going to have the whole area called Thunder Mountain with 3 e-ticket rides. It was going to be a huge ordeal. It was a whole area of Thunder Mesa.
Yeah, it was Thunder Mesa.
They were going to have the Western River expansion at Florida.
They were going to have. Florida was supposed to get it, but it was actually originally for Disneyland. There was going to be the roller coaster, like a boat ride, like Pirates.
That's it. Downstairs is the Western River Expedition.
Yeah, and it was have to be Thunder Mesa. There was 3 attractions all in one, and between the roller coaster, the river ride, and what was the other one?
I don't remember,
huge area.
Indiana Jones was supposed to be something similar to that too. It was supposed to be the ride that we got. Also, the Jungle Cruise was supposed to go through it, and it was going to also have a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But they scaled back on that and did just that. But they do a lot of intertwining of attractions at Disneyland simply because of the footprint of the park. So you get far more attractions in Disneyland itself than any other Magic Kingdom around the world.
Yeah, they were supposed to get it, and it was already greenlit, and they actually already started not the construction, but serving Walt Disney World for the Western River Expedition. But because it opened up in a crisis mode of everybody screaming, Pirates of the Caribbean, Pirates of the Caribbean, they nixed it and had to put that money over and put Pirates, and they did it super fast.
Yeah, they did.
So you can thank Pirates for Walt Disney World not getting that, because it was already, actually, we're starting it. It was phase 2. It was seriously worked. It was already greenlit.
Yeah.
And then the energy crisis and everything in the 70s. We all can go on and talk about American history until the cows come home.
Definitely.
It's just going to do. So,
okay.
A lot of exciting things. So that was that. What else do we have? That was it.
Well, I want to talk about my moderators. Thank you so much for your help today. Really appreciate that, as well as the circle of support that we have. We have Rob Fuzz, Two Real Geeks, More Sunshine Please, The Orlando Guy, and D&G Explorers. D&G Explorers will be on tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Richard, I believe, is going to be working on his next video for his series of the history of Orlando for part 6. Hasn't been announced yet as to when that's coming, but I'm sure Richard is working on that, just as I am working on a new video to make a chocolate pound cake. It's all recorded. Just have to finish working on that script, and we'll get that posted as soon as possible. And thank you, Mike. Yeah, we were on talking about Disneyland last night on Mouse Talk. So check that out. Check that out as well. And then Ben is going to be dropping a video tomorrow. He's cooking again. So tune in tomorrow morning when his video premieres at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, only on PTV. That is about all I have.
That's all we have. And we will look at our phones that are exploding over here. So we will, I'm sure we're going to be hearing about this exciting information.
Did get a question from Anthony, PTV. Question, would you rather have Pirates of the Caribbean or Thunder Mesa? Me, I would have rather had the Thunder Mesa Mountain project that they were doing with the Western River Expedition.
For Florida.
For Florida, definitely.
I think it would have made up for it.
Yeah.
But because, you give what your guests what they want, not necessarily that was probably the best thing they should have done, but it was a knee-jerk reaction.
It was.
They should have went with it and said, no, we'll do Pirates later or never. And gave that because it was all that more.
Yeah, it was. But we'll never know now.
We'll never know. We just got Thunder Mountain out of it. That's it.
Donna's looking forward to the chocolate pound cake. Oh, and also cooking with Ben. Yes, Life with Ben tomorrow. He's cooking.
Good.
So everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Daily Dose. I'm Arnie.
I'm Doug.
You've been watching PTV3D, the Daily Dose of Disney here on Pepper Tree Villa. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific for another edition, talking all about Disney's history for June 11th. In the meantime, everyone,
thank you, Mike and Cynthia.
Yes,
for the super chats.
Those super chats. Thank you so much for that. Really, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
all of those super chats will go directly into the channel and to help make our equipment better, help make those videos better as well. We already have plans of things that we want to do. So, believe me, that money is going to go to good use. Thank you so much.
So,
wait 18 times for me to say my outro. Oh, Mike.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, there will be other things coming. It just won't be daily.
Posted,
but there will be more things coming, I promise. You'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen because we've got some things planned. Everyone, have a magical evening. And have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. And my goodness,
downscale!
Right there at the last minute, downscale with the $5 super chat. He gave us a super sticker. Downscale, thank you so much.
Sticker, keep
it up. Yep,
we try.
Definitely,
we will.
We'll keep it up. We'll definitely keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that super
cool.
sticker. Oh my goodness,
awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
it's
an exercising pair.
Yeah, I need to exercise.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking more pear-shaped these days, so I should exercise too.
We're more. It's all good. Yeah, thank you, Downscale. That is very cool.
Everyone, thank you so much for the time that you spent with us today. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, our village. We really appreciate that time. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow, everyone.
Bye. Thank you again. Thank you.